Welcome back to another wintry and icy day here in Scotland and another lockdown. And while we find ourselves in lockdown, the rules aren't quite as strict as last year's lockdown. What I mean by this is we're still allowed to get outdoors and exercise pretty much as we want, providing we stay in our very immediate local area and don't meet any more than one other person. So today I'm out on my own, and while I'm only 10 minutes away from a lot of my normal local haunts and exercise beaches and all the rest of it, I've decided that I'm going to set myself a challenge for this lockdown. And a bit like in the summer, I challenged myself to learn macro photography and took a number of images of plants and insects and that around my home. This time I'm going to set myself the challenge of doing abstract photography, and a bit like some of the videos I've posted recently, it's something that I'm very much interested in. So this morning I've come for a walk around the fields beside the house I'm currently living in. Before anybody says anything, I have got a landowner's permission, and I'm just going for a nice wee walk around these fields, and I'm going to do some abstract style photography of all the frost and ice that we've got here and see what I can discover, because I think times like these it's best that we stick at home, stick to the rules, and try and challenge ourselves in new creative ways, because often that's where we learn the most and where we begin to change and challenge our photographic experiences. And I'm super excited to see where this abstract challenge is going to take me, literally on my doorstep. Now before we get started on today's video, I must let you know that this video is sponsored by Ocopa. Now, I really suffer from cold hands when I'm outdoors. Even if I'm wearing gloves, I've tried very many different brands and materials of gloves, and despite the thickness of them or the material of them, I still find that my hands, especially on days like today, end up getting cold. And over the last few years, I have occasionally used the chemical hand warmers if I know I'm going to be outdoors for a number of hours. And I always feel very guilty about using these because they're incredibly bad for the environment. Now, they do a fantastic job at warming up your hands, and you just put them in your gloves and they do a joyous job, but they're not biodegradable, they're not recyclable, they're full of chemicals, and most importantly, they are single use. So if you're using these sort of things over and over again, incredibly bad for the environment. But Ocopa have a solution. They have these lovely rechargeable hand warmers, which they've kindly sent me this lovely one here. I've got a number of designs that they sell. This is a really nice design here that I really liked, so I chose it. And yeah, obviously you can use these as many times as you want. They're rechargeable, they're much better for the environment, and they've got 3 heat settings, so you can ensure that when you're out for a day outdoors, having this with you, whether in your hands, in your pocket or in your gloves, it's going to keep you nice and warm. And ultimately, if you're somebody that uses chemical hand warmers, buying something like this is going to be much more healthier for the planet. And I'm sure many of you that enjoy the outdoors and nature and landscape photography care about the environment. So something like this, much better than the chemical ones. Now, let's get on with the photography. One thing I'm focusing on today is things which pretty much any of you, no matter where you live, could potentially have on your doorstep. And of course, not all of you are going to have frosty conditions like we've got here this morning. But if you do live in the UK and you're in the middle of winter, wherever you are in the world, there is a high chance that you might have frost or ice in the coming weeks and maybe even months. And I thought today would be a really good chance to sit down and do sort of abstract style photographs with what's going on around me. As I'm walking around this area, I'm coming across all these puddles of water that have been frozen overnight, and there's these incredible patterns in them. There's all these lovely breaks in the ice that are causing nice lines, there's bubbles in the ice, there's lovely textures. It's just beautiful. And this is something that I never really photographed before, if I'm being honest. Ice is something that you walk past quite regularly in Scotland at this time of year, but you don't always think to sit down and actually photograph it. And I think now that we're in lockdown, it's a good chance to open your eye up to things that you would normally walk past and broaden your photographic horizons. That's exactly what I'm doing this morning by photographing this ice and get some really nice abstract shots and really incorporating the beautiful patterns into my images. exciting things about photographing ice, and what I'm really enjoying about this like abstract ice photography that I'm doing today is because the temperature is slowly getting warmer as the sun's been out for longer and we move towards midday. Every time I kind of walk past these pools of ice on this nice stretch that I've been walking back and forwards, kind of like every 15-20 minutes they look slightly different. So the ice is obviously beginning to melt and it's beginning to crack, and we're getting all these different inlets within the ice, which is creating different shapes and different patterns within it. And I just find that so exciting, because I think unlike other aspects of nature that you may do abstract photography with, so you know, if you were photographing like trees in a forest or leaves, you know, within a short space of time they don't tend to change. Obviously leaves change with the seasons, but you can't go out for like 4 hours in the morning and just go for a walk and those leaves are suddenly going to change colour, or you know, the weather may change and create different images. But from like a quick point of view, and to really embrace nature, watching as kind of like the sun rises and the frost and ice begins to melt and begins to crack, it creates so many different photographic opportunities in a very short period of time. So within like 15 minutes, that bit of ice you photographed can look completely different because of it melting and cracking. And I actually find that mesmerising, and especially just now as we're stuck in you know, a lockdown and we can't really get out and embrace many of our normal locations, being able to actually appreciate aspects of nature on our doorstep like this and be able to get out for your exercise and, you know, walk around the area just around your home, to be able to actually embrace bits of nature like this and really appreciate them and photograph them, it really allows you to feel more appreciation and mindfulness when you're out and about. And actually it helps you forget about the current situation. Obviously the lockdown and everything else that's going on just now has been in and out of my mind while I've been out this morning, but actually being able to focus and admire something like the ice cracking and it changing and photographing it, it's so good for your mind. You know, I think one of the great things about doing abstract photography and embracing your immediate, you know, local area and what's on your doorstep is being very mindful of things that you never would normally photograph. And I think it makes you really appreciate the world around you more, and in many ways appreciate nature more. You know, we're also eager and ready to go and travel to other places, other locations, other countries, or, you know, just get away and have, you know, enjoy nature and other parts of the country, which is something that I've always been very guilty of in the past. And while I love doing that and look forward to doing it again once all this is over, I think actually appreciating what's on your doorstep can make your life so much more fulfilling, because there is so much around you that, you know, you just normally walk past. enjoyed this morning's adventure and the lovely kind of abstracty style ice photographs you've seen. I think, you know, at times like these it's good to actually get out and embrace what you are allowed to do and enjoy the nature that's on your doorstep. Whether that's just for a walk or for a walk with your camera, doesn't really matter, but being able to get out, get some fresh air, get some exercise and appreciate the natural world around you is such an incredible thing to do at difficult times like this. And of course I appreciate that I'm very lucky to be living in the countryside and have fields and nature around me like I do. But even if you live in a city or a town, I'm sure you'll have some sort of nature places near you, whether that's a little pond or lake or a garden or a park. You know, getting out and taking your camera with you on your daily walks and your exercise and just embracing it and thinking about things that you normally wouldn't shoot and trying to make the most of what you can photograph. It can not only completely transform your photography, but it makes you more aware of the natural world around you and more appreciative of it, I think, and it can be a positive way to try and get ourselves through this continuing difficult time. As always, I want to say a huge thank you for watching, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you all again next time.